Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Quantum Experience. Before I introduce my guest this evening, Lisa Huff, I'd like to invite you to visit my website, awakener.com. That's AWAKENER.com. My special offer for June is to offer everyone in my audience a $75 discount on a basic numerology analysis. You can call me at 561-866-5479 in Florida for specific details. That's 561-866-5479. I'd also like to ask you to visit Sparkle Spirit, a New Age shop at 270 North Federal Highway, about 3 blocks north of Hallandale Beach Boulevard. I love the energy of this shop. They offer readings with mediums, card readers, and psychics, and offer many classes as well. I will be offering how to identify your life challenges and karma and their solutions Monday evening, June 3rd, from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Your investment is $30 in advance and $40 at the door. For reservations and directions, call 954-367-7860. That's 954-367-7860. My guest this evening is Lisa Ruff. Lisa graduated from West Virginia University, where she majored in psychology and nutrition. After completing her degree, Lisa went on to train with various natural food and supplement-oriented chiropractors. Lisa completed certifications in iridology, herbalism, organic zone nutritional courses, therapeutic uses of essential oils, healthy gourmet food preparation, Reiki, and point massage bodywork. She has practiced as a natural health consultant since 1974. Her belief is everyone can become healthier by embracing natural remedies that will empower them and make them feel their personal best. Tonight, we start off discussing aromatherapy and the use of essential oils. Aromatherapy has been around for 10,000 years. The immune properties of plants are distilled and then bottled. Essential oils were found in King Tut's tomb, still intact with their healing properties. Each oil has its own focused use, but all essential oils increase our available oxygen. Examples of some essential oils we may want to use are peppermint, which increases test scores by 28%. Bergamot can turn grief into joy. Sandalwood can rebuild your cartilage, and Lang Lang opens the heart chakra. With that, let me introduce my guest, Lisa Huff. Lisa, welcome to the show. Lisa, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being on the air.
Thank you, Michael.
You're more than welcome. I've known Lisa for probably 10 years, and I just have to come out and say I really think she's the best at what she does. And what we're going to talk about tonight, we're going to start off with essential oils. Then we're going to talk about iridology, which some of you may know about, but many of you may not. We're going to follow that up with herbalism, organic food preparation, and then we're going to talk about point massage bodywork. So let's start with essential oils. Let me ask you this. Everybody's got a story how they got involved in oils. How did you get involved with essential oils?
That's a good question because I was pretty proud of how natural I lived my life since 1974. And in 1996, I was introduced to essential oils, which I had only worn as a perfume. And here I was told that they would actually change your health. And I was a little bit angry that I didn't know about that before. So it came as a giant, giant shock. And I immediately got into the seminars and the research, and I haven't stopped since then.
Well, I definitely am a testimony for essential oils. I was over in Thailand, and I got a haircut in a small village, and she stabbed me with the tip of the scissor, and I got an infection. It's not that clean. They don't have the same rules over there. I
Right.
managed to have some tea tree oil with me and put that on after I found out that I had this infection. And in about 4 days, the infection was gone, the skin had cleared, dried out, and closed itself off.
Awesome.
And then I also use, living here in Florida, I get sunburn. Actually, I'm banned from the beach. My body is so white that I can blind the pilots as they fly over with the reflection of the sun off my body. And so I went out and got sunburned in about 10 minutes, came back and put lavender oil on it. I didn't have any aloe, which would also be good. But lavender is fabulous for sunburn for those living in this area or any place where you get burnt. So, what are essential oils and how are they generated?
Essential oils are the immune properties of the plant. This, of course, as you stated, is a 10,000-year-old practice. And originally, the plant was laid with goose fat in the sun. But as of 10,000 years ago, they have found hieroglyphics of the distiller, and they have remnants of that from 6,500 years ago. And what they do is they use a distillation process with the plant material, with water, with the minimum amount of heat and the minimum amount of pressure, and the essential oil floats to the top and is skimmed off. But it's also a misnomer. It's not truly an oil, it's a lipid. But because it floats, they thought it was an oil, and so that's how it's produced.
What is a lipid?
A lipid, good question. I can't really give you a complete definition of it other than it's not an oil that would create like a stain on a paper or a cloth, but it penetrates and crosses the cell membrane.
Okay.
But it's not just a water-based fluid.
Gotcha. And so I think wherever we live, the plants in our area are placed there to counteract something. For example, poison ivy. Near poison ivy, you're going to find a plant called jewelweed. And if you break the plant and take the stem after you've been in the poison ivy and put it on yourself, it'll clear up the poison ivy. It really cuts it off almost instantly and stops it from spreading or going to that point where it bubbles up and creates blisters. And so I would think that essential oils, wherever they started, were discovered in the same area that people were living in, whether they needed it to heal an infection or deal with birth, whatever it was, somebody somewhere. And that's another question. Well, how did they discover this? My experience, my philosophy is, it's not so much that somebody discovered it as they were guided to it. And by spirit, by God, by whatever supreme being they believe in. And then they tried it out and it worked, and then it became standard, and everybody else would then pick something up like that. Are there certain oils that we should keep in our medicine chest, so to speak? Is there like 5 or 6 that we really need to keep?
Well, I agree with you totally that the earth provides all the plants to give us any type of healing that we need, and that's what people relied on, and that's what the human species has relied on for 10,000 years minus 100 years, because it's only been in the last 100 years that we've really lost touch with plants' healing power. We've lost that knowledge, but I totally believe that it is coming back. If you take an animal and they are ill, they will go out and seek the plant that they need to correct it. I even had a goat in the 70s that had gotten into the corn bin and ate so much corn that corn was coming out the other end, totally like corn. And I went to my mentor, old farmer, and he said, let her go. She'll go find the plant that will correct that. And I think that's how it has been, except in our latter civilized times. So the herbal kingdom, the essential oil kingdom brings us back in touch with those healing properties that exist for us. As far as the basic oils, that can be a little relative to each person's situation, but I would definitely say eucalyptus would be one that everyone would want to use because of the respiratory and sinus effects, but also because it's highly antiviral, and we don't have anything in Western medicine that is antiviral. It's also antibacterial, and it's also antifungal, and any kind of sinus issue always has fungus involved with it. I would also select frankincense. Frankincense, if you ask any aromatherapist if they could only have one oil, it would be frankincense. And not just because it's anti-cancer, not just because it's incredible for really severe contagious diseases, but because it's very holy, it's very, very spiritual. A third one would be lavender, as you have mentioned already, not only for skin, but also for calmness and peace. I would also select lemon. Lemon is used in the hospitals in Europe. They have no strep, they have no staph, no MRSA. And that's what I advocate for people to clean their homes with, is lemon oil added to water. If they wish to add a botanical soap to that, they can. I don't even add a soap because lemon in its own virtue will cut through grease.
How many, just on the lemon oil, when I did my road trips, I would usually keep, just a liter and a half bottle like that we buy at the store. And I'd put 8 to 10 drops of essential lemon oil in that to drink on the trip after I got tired of drinking plain water instead of buying a soda.
Yeah, and you had two incredible aspects happening for you there. That alkalizes the water, and also lemon gives you mental sharpness.
I was wondering why I kept cutting myself. Every time I had a scratch on my head, I'd come back with a bloody finger. So, what?
And another.
Yeah.
You want me to add a couple more?
Yes, absolutely.
I would definitely add peppermint, which also gives mental clarity, as lemon does. But peppermint's awesome in the fact with mental clarity that it's been proven that it increases test scores by 28%. It also, 1 drop of peppermint oil on your tummy will relieve indigestion always.
On the outside of your stomach to relieve internal?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
You can put a drop in your mouth as well, but when people would come into my store and they would be complaining that they just ate pizza and their stomach hurt, I'd say, put a drop of peppermint on your stomach, and they would look at me like, it was a witch with 2 heads. But then 5 minutes later, they would look at me with really big eyes and go, I can't believe this. That's an incredible part of peppermint. I would probably add to that wintergreen or birch because they are so highly anti-inflammatory, and the basis of all disease is inflammation. So that would be a basic that I would want to have.
So if somebody has like arthritis, they can put that oil on?
Yeah, absolutely. And all your cardiovascular disease, your diabetes, your hypoglycemia, all of that's inflammation-based. So those 2 oils are great as an anti-inflammatory. And then as we maybe drop down to some others that are really basic, grapefruit reduces the appetite, reduces cellulite. That's an important thing a lot of women enjoy. Lemongrass is essential for healing torn ligaments and tendons, also for moving lymph. And I like basil for muscle. Most of us have fatigued muscles, or our lower backs hurt, or our necks hurt, or our joints hurt, and basil is really good for that. And if you mix basil with wintergreen, with lemongrass, and you're hitting the muscles, you're hitting bone and inflammation, and you're hitting ligaments and tendons. And the last one that I'll mention right now is clove, which is an analgesic, which takes away pain. And also clove is incredible to put inside your mouth to prevent gingivitis and teeth issues and cavity issues. And it's very, very antiviral and the highest antioxidant.
Okay, now if you're going to use clove oil, I strongly recommend you got a paper towel, a sponge, or some Kleenex because it's really going to make you salivate.
And only do a little bit in the beginning. Sometimes I tell people just to rub their finger around the thread of the bottle rather than take, but never put more than 1 drop. and then run your tongue around your mouth. And after a while, you get used to it. But it does bite at first.
Yeah, peppermint's pretty powerful, and so is spearmint. I usually just put 1 to 2 drops in 1.5 liters of water to drink.
Yes, yes. That's the point. It's a very good point to bring up. Is with essential oils, they are so concentrated that you only need a small amount. I sometimes have people say, well, if I take basil leaves and rub them on my neck, will that help my muscles? And I tell them that a 10 milliliter bottle, which is about 2 inches tall and maybe 1 inch wide, takes about 5 pickup truckloads of plant material to make that oil. So sometimes people think they're very pricey, but you only use a small amount. Quite often, only 1 drop, depending upon the circumstance.
Right. Now, let me just interrupt here for a moment. I want to give out Lisa's phone number and website so that if you have additional questions or you'd like some treatments or schedule an appointment, consultation, Lisa's number is 954-415-1871. That's 954-415-1871. And her website would be Lisa's Herbs and Oils, all one word, LISASHERBSAND oils.com. That's lisasherbsandoils.com. Okay, we're going to get back and give you that number and website a few more times before the show's over. Is there, we go into Whole Foods and then we see Oricacia, or we hear about Young Living oils, or a dozen other places that people make them. How do we know that the quality of the oil that we're buying is good? Is there a difference?
I usually tell people that I think there are a lot of good sources out there. There's a lot of very bad sources as well. But what you need to do, if you have an interest in a certain brand, is ask for their, the word slips my mind, but it's their truth statement. And they will, when you read it, you will then know just by the way they make their statements if they are organic, if they are wildcrafted, if they are therapeutic, if they've been cut with any extenders, if they have used solvents. And I feel that each person, I'm not one to say this is the only company you should use. I have my own line of oils. I did that. I was with Young Living for quite a while. I think Young Living and doTERRA and Oricacia are all good companies. It depends upon your connection with who can help you. It depends upon cost factor. I started my own line just because I think that some of the prices are really higher than they should be. So I sourced out my own jobbers that secure their oils from Madagascar or Sri Lanka or Canada or wherever that oil comes from, and I've been working and researching that since 2002. So that's been 12 years, and I'm always aware of if the country has to change for the sourcing, what was their weather patterns like, has this company, are they still adhering, this jobber, is he still adhering to his ethical procedures? It's a continual research that has to go on. But for your typical layperson, ask for their statements of their truth and what they apply.
There would usually be like a phone number or contact information on the bottle itself.
Or website.
Or the website, right. Now,
right.
We talked a little bit about their therapeutic use, but what makes them therapeutic?
The way that I define that is the fact that if they are organic or wildcrafted. Wildcrafted means they grow in nature and someone collects them. Organic means that they are grown under organic standards. If they've been cut with a chemical to extend them, then they're not therapeutic. If they are processed and extracted, not just water, but with a solvent, then they're not therapeutic. Therapeutic means that they are going to help your body heal because they resonate with your body's vibration. And what their main purpose is they oxygenate the system. So whether you spray an essential oil spray in the air and increase the ozone and negative ions and the oxygen availability, or whether you put the oil on your skin and increase the oxygen in your bloodstream and your lymph system, it is increasing the oxygen available. Disease cannot live in oxygen. I don't know anyone who works with essential oils, and I mean they could be a layperson that uses them every day, or it could be a professional. If they are breathing essential oils, I don't know of anyone that can be depressed. They are so oxygenating to the brain. They also raise the vibration of our cells. We vibrate approximately at 66 hertz. And if we drop to 58, we become ill. If we drop to 42, mutated cells. And when we drop to 25, vibration is when we pass. So vibration is really important. I also like to explain, if you take spearmint leaves that are fresh and you put them in very hot water and make a tea, you're going to have an oil floating on top. If you take dried spearmint leaves, you do not have the oil. So that's why I like to marry the essential oils with the herbs, because the herbs have been usually dried that we consume, and the oils bring in that higher vibrational level.
Okay.
And the last thing I'll say is that there are a lot of essential oils that are antiviral, and Western medicine does not have antiviral.
And that's really a very important point, because they're saying there's no cure for the MERS virus. And I think there's this other one called MARTA, the bacteria, the flesh-eating bacteria that they don't know how to stop. MRSA.
Uh-huh. You're right. And you know what? The hospitals in Europe use lemon for cleaning, and they do not have MRSA.
Interesting.
There's all kinds of studies. If you get on the internet and Google, there are endless studies where the essential oils destroy 99% of gram-negative and gram-positive bacteria and virus and fungus and the whole gamut.
So they're actually a lot better than these hand sanitizers, which I think are a waste of money.
Well, they're not only a waste of money, they're actually dangerous. So all you have to do is Google that, and they'll explain exactly why they are dangerous and how they destroy the protective barrier we have. So I just was at lunch today with a friend, and she had like a little chemical sanitizer. She wiped on her hands and offered it to me, and I said, no, thank you. I just use lemon oil on my hands. So that's of nature from the earth.
Right. So we mentioned that you can put it on your skin. What other ways can we use the oils in a therapeutic way?
Well, let me just mention that putting it on the skin, you can do it neat, which means without a carrier oil. A lot of European aromatherapists do not recommend that, but American aromatherapists have no problem with it. I have no problem with it. If it should tingle or burn, all you do is add a carrier oil. It can be olive oil, coconut oil, and you will stop that tingle or burn in 30 to 60 seconds. The reason that you would want to apply it to the skin is so that the blood and the lymph will carry it. And also, let's say your lower back hurts. It's better to put it right there. You get a faster action. Let's say you want to purify your liver from anger and resentment, or just to help it pull out physical toxins, then you would want to apply it directly on the liver. Also, if someone, your child, your mate, your whatever person you're dealing with hates the smell of the oil, you can put it on the bottom of the feet, let the blood and lymph carry it through the body. Now, the other way you can use it is breathing. That's called aromatherapy. And when you breathe the molecules of the oils, whether it's from a diffuser, from a spray, from your hands that you put on your hands and cupped over your nose, then those molecules go through the olfactory system into the limbic system, and then that's where we start to have activity with the hypothalamus, the amygdala gland. The amygdala gland only responds to odor or fragrance. All kinds of studies are available to read on that, and the amygdala gland allows us to be in the position mentally of peace and happiness, or in drama and trauma, and the smelling of and the breathing of the essential oils will shift it always to peace and calmness. That is then converted to the nervous system These glands send it through the nervous system. The hormonal release starts to occur, and that all happens in a matter of 10 seconds. Back to when you apply it to the body, it's in every cell of the body in 20 minutes. Further uses of the essential oils by the French medical doctors especially is oral, putting them in capsules and swallowing them, in the ears, vaginally and anally for really tough diseases.
So if we have an ulcer or some other internal issue, we can put the appropriate oil in a capsule and swallow it so it can actually work in that area. And then, as you said earlier, it gets through the cellular blood barrier.
Yeah. I don't advocate the internal use of it. Just because I'm not educated real thoroughly in that. But I know that with the French medical doctors, it's commonly done.
And, okay, now if you don't like the aroma of it, as you said earlier, you can put it on the soles of your feet.
Correct. Because it's like if you rub a piece of garlic on the bottom of your feet, within 2 minutes you taste it in your mouth. There's so many pores to bring that to the body.
I got to try that.
A little trick, a little thing.
Yeah. Now, people are going to say, well, I'm pregnant, or how can I do this with my child or my pet? How does that work? Are they safe?
You want to have a reference book. I sell a reference book that's available only online. Online it's $46. I sell it for $34. And you want to always have a reference book when you're working with children, pregnancy, those two, there are limitations. And that would be a different situation with each oil.
And this would be on your website, lisasherbsandoils.com. lisasherbsandoils.com. Or if you're lazy, call her up. 954-415-1871. That's 954-415-1871. And we already talked about why they seem expensive. It really depends on where you're buying it and the brand name. I know that Young Living is a good oil, but you're paying more for that than you would pay for the same quality in a different brand.
That's correct.
Because it's a multi-level marketing and everybody needs to get their cut.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when and you talked about aromatherapy, putting it in a diffuser. They can be fairly simple. I've seen them where they're just like a hollow ceramic or porcelain container. You put a little tea light in it. You put some water and the essential oil in the top, and then as it's heated, it diffuses into the room. Or you can get one with a motor that actually blows it into the room.
Yeah, I would like to make a couple comments on that. I think if anyone has a Breeze, Glade plug-in, anything like this in their home, they need to get rid of it because that is putting chemicals into your air, and there are many litigations with allergies and asthma from those chemicals. Now, Michael, you just mentioned putting it with a tea light under it. That is allowing the molecules to be distributed into the air in a very safe way, but it also negates some of the therapeutic qualities because you're heating it. So the very best way to do it is with a mechanical electric diffuser. I like the kind that I have one on my website that is in water, therefore there's no parts to get gunked up. But the issue with those diffusers are they're expensive. So I call my spray bottles the poor man's diffuser, and that's just an amber or a blue glass bottle with you put distilled water in it, and then you put a few drops of your essential oils, and you can spray your pillows in the room, and if the kids are sick, you can spray it so you're destroying the airborne bacteria and virus. And so I just wanted to make a comment on that.
Okay, well then let me get another comment from you, because what I'm thinking of, a lot of us are in the car. We do a lot of commuting back and forth. We're in heavy traffic, things of that nature. I had heard you could take a couple drops of the essential oil, put it on a cotton ball, and then stick that cotton ball in your air conditioning or heating vent in the car, and as the air blows through it, it blows it into the car.
That's right. That's a great thing to do.
Okay. Is there, we already talked about the guide, you have that one. What about for cramps, for meditation, for depression? What are some of the oils people can use for that?
Well, for cramping, muscle cramping, there are a lot of oils. I probably think the first one that comes to mind is marjoram for cramping, and peppermint is workable for that. And I'm just flipping in my book to find the list of others because there are so many. Cypress, lavender, wintergreen, basil.
What would be the strongest? What would be the two strongest that would do the...
Marjoram would be your strongest of all. And if you're talking about menstrual cramping, you want it to be clary sage.
Okay, so cramps we're talking about are muscle cramps.
Okay, muscle cramps would be marjoram, and your other choice would be, it's a multiple amount, but I would say basil.
And menstrual cramps?
Would be clary sage.
Okay, and what about meditation? What would help you meditate or even go to sleep?
Well, those are two different things.
Yes, they are, but I always fall asleep when I meditate.
Well, with meditation, the two top oils are frankincense and sandalwood.
And where would you put them?
Third eye, temples, right on the tip of your nose, the brainstem, which is the back of the neck, up where it connects with the skull.
Right, that indentation.
Pardon?
There's an indentation back there that runs,
yes.
Right? And that's where you would put it.
Uh-huh.
And
you don't have to be super particular about where you put it on your skin. Just do it.
Gotcha. And again, always do a little test with a teeny amount to see whether or not your skin's going to react to it.
But again, if the skin itches or feels weird, you just apply any type of carrier oil. It could even be Wesson oil. I had a mother call me, and the child had gotten the essential oil in his eyes.
Yeah.
And he was 5 years old, screaming on the phone, and I said, put a carrier oil in his eyes. What is a carrier oil? Olive oil. I don't have olive oil. You have Wesson oil. Yes, I have Wesson oil. She put Wesson oil in his eyes, and in 35 seconds, while I stayed on the phone with her, he stopped crying.
Now, do you put it right in the eye like eye drops?
Yes.
You drop it right? Do you drop the lid and put that oil in?
Yes.
Okay. What about depression?
Depression, there's a ton of oils for depression, but the very best would be lemon, frankincense, lavender. I have to say bergamot. Bergamot turns grief into joy. I would have to add ylang-ylang because it opens the heart chakra. Tangerine is awesome to bring happiness and almost giddiness.
Okay, now,
Jasmine.
I read that geranium was like one of the #1 oils used in European hospitals for infections and things of that nature. I don't know anything about it. I have some geranium. I've used it. It works. I also have bergamot. And sometimes I mix the two of them together, not knowing what I'm doing, and then I can scream, "It's alive! It's alive!" It's just I experiment. Guidance, actually, where I'm being guided to do this. So we put the oils on. We can assist with depression, cramps, meditation, illnesses, infections, scrapes, burns, etc. How do they work to change our emotions?
Well, as I was stating before, with the amygdala gland in the limbic part of the brain, it actually will shift the thought process, the emotional existence from the posterior position to the anterior position of the amygdala. And that shifts you from trauma to peace and love. And this was a 15-year study done by P.J. Lingo, who actually was in General Patton's division in World War II. And he couldn't understand why certain people were about killing and destruction and certain people were about happiness and love. And so the 15-year-old study revealed that the amygdala gland and the smelling of a pine tree, the smelling of a flower, will actually shift that mentality from posterior to anterior in the amygdala gland. Oxygenation of the brain is going to also be an incredible addition to helping the neurotransmitters.
Okay, now, before I go on to the next topic, again, anybody has any questions, please call Lisa at 954-415-1871. That's 954-415-1871, or visit her website, Lisa's Herbs and Oils, all one word, LISASHERBSANDOILS.com, which I don't have to spell out for you. Lisa'sHerbsandOils.com. Now, in the introduction, we also talked about that you're certified as an iridologist. What is iridology?
That is a science used by European doctors, a diagnostic tool where you look at the colored part of the eye, which is the iris, and when that is magnified and you look at it, which anybody can do with a magnifying glass, you're going to see lots of designs in that colored area. And if you look in several different people's eyes, you're going to see many different kinds of patterns. And those patterns relate to the nerve endings that go to the organs. So by looking at that structure, you can determine whether the lymph system is clogged, whether circulation is moving, the position of all the organs, whether they are overactive, underactive. It shows very clear patterns of the colon, which if the colon is not clean and not healthy, then that's your toxicity that's happening in your body. So it's a revelation, a revealing of what is inherited as a weakness or what has occurred during your lifetime as an environmental intrusion or a pattern of how you have lived with your foods and your stress and how that's affecting your body.
Okay, obviously, number one, you want to visit an iridologist, but if you happen to live back out in the forest or maybe you're living in a cave, is there a book with pictures that describe the patterns that you can see in the eye and what the possibilities for health issues might be?
Well, Dr. Bernard Jensen is the father of iridology in the United States. Germany is even more advanced, and I would actually just recommend going online and look. A lot of the books have been discontinued, so I would recommend going online, and there are people who are active right now in creating books, and Dr. Pesic in North Carolina is very active, and I don't remember the name of I think she's Dr. Jensen's daughter, I forget her last name, but that's where you can look at a lot of pictures that will have descriptions.
Okay, now iridology, listeners, is spelled IRIDOLOGY, iridology, IRIDOLOGY. Look it up, and I've had this done. Sometimes you may even go to one of these metaphysical shows, and there could be someone doing iridology. If they're good, if they're certified, it would really pay to just take a moment or two, let them look you in the eye and tell you what's going on. And then we can use the essential oils to correct the situation. Would that be correct?
I'd probably lean a little more on the herbs, but yes, what you're saying is true.
Okay, well then let's go to herbs then. We all hear about herbs. We have oregano. We put it on pizza and things of this nature. I know that oregano as essential oil is very, very powerful antibacterial, antiviral, and I think antifungal, and it burns. So when you're into herbalism, what are some of the herbs that we can mix up? I guess we would make a tea and drink it, or make a poultice?
Well, let's back up a little bit. The herbs have been on the earth forever for us for healing, and all of us have weaknesses in certain parts of our body, and especially those of us that have lived through these civilized times. So you might have a weakened pancreas, which has led to hypoglycemia or diabetes, or you might have a lazy bowel. So, when you look at the herbs, I like to try to make this very simple, very easy. I work mainly with encapsulated herbs because it's very simple to swallow them. If you don't like to swallow them, you can go to liquids, but liquids usually don't taste good. Or you can open the capsule and put it in some kefir or put it in an avocado pudding or whatever. So the herbal single herbs, like alfalfa, is excellent for arthritis. It's excellent to create a alkaline pH. Or there are herbal blends. So you could take, for the same disease, the blend would have alfalfa in it, yucca to clean out the joints, devil's claw, it's anti-inflammatory, and those herbs are blended together for that specific disease. But when I start working with my clients, we need to determine whether that person is malnourished and whether they need to clean and get out some toxins, because our typical health of our body is each cell in our body is receiving a nutrient and letting go of a toxin. But most of us are malnourished, and most of us have too many heavy metals or toxicity in our bodies. So it's really just a sweet process of just becoming healthier, better, with more vibrancy, more energy, or calming down the nervous system or feeding the nervous system. So I like to look at it that way.
It's a good way to look at it. Okay, so now let's move into organic food preparation. And we see a lot of advertisements about organic, but what is organic?
Organic is the way God put food on the earth in the beginning, and here we are at this point in our evolution where we are paying extra money to have it labeled organic and searching to find something the way it's supposed to be appearing on the earth. So they just have studied that if you eat organic foods for 1 week, you will reduce the toxicity level in your body by 90%.
Oh my God. Really?
So, yeah. So we also have to think about the fact that we're on the earth plane, and there are chemicals, there is electrical radiation, if we're sitting in our room, like right now, we're all sitting with air conditioning running that could have mold easily in Florida. We have paint on our walls that molecules are coming out, that we're all around toxicity. But we don't want to live in fear. We don't want to be paranoid that, oh my goodness, there's so many toxins. You know, a typical baby today has 250 chemical poisons in their body by the time they're even born. But we have the beauty of being able to start to focus on foods that are clean. And there are lists of the Dirty Dozen, very readily available on the internet. So I guess where I try to work from is focus on the vegetables that are the clean vegetables, and the ones that there are vegetables that don't have to be organic, that are not as unclean. So some examples would be the ones that are healthy that you don't have to go organic on would be like avocados, cabbage, onions, asparagus, papayas. An example of vegetables that are very, very toxic are apples, strawberries, grapes, and celery. So when you have that list that you can find on the computer called the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15, then use that to gradually change the foods that you are purchasing. And a lot of people will say to me, it's too expensive, I can't do it. But you know what? If you stop eating out so much, you save a fortune. If you go to Costco, they have so many organics now at half the price of Whole Foods. And guess what? When you eat as much as you can organically, You will not be ill. You will save so much money in that category. Your life's going to be longer. You're going to have more mental clarity. You're going to feel better. Your stomach's going to work better. It's just it's a gift. It's not a price to pay. It's a gift to go toward being just healthy. I guess I would have to say the things that I think are the worst to not be organic is dairy, because they are full of estrogen, full of pesticides, and really full of antibiotics, and beef. Those two would be the most important to start out with your organic
What was
health.
that last one? Beets?
Beef.
Oh, beef.
Cow.
What's the beef, babe? What's the beef? So, even, 90% if you eat organic for a week.
Uh-huh.
And that would then transpose into feeling a little more energetic,
Absolutely.
a higher mood.
You'll sleep better. You'll have more energy. You'll have a nervous system that won't be crazy. You'll have mental clarity. It will increase. Everything will become better because you're not putting a hormone, pesticides. Roundup pesticide by Monsanto destroys the brain cells.
Okay.
Destroys the nerve cells.
You've said that dirty word. Okay, so now we're on to, let's not just keep it to Monsanto, but let's go into GMO. I know we didn't put that on the topic, but I know it's probably got a place in your heart that you would like to talk to people about. Does this, I don't know too much about GMOs, other than the fact they're really nasty for us, but isn't there something like plastic or metallic or something in those plants that can cut us up inside?
The best way for me to explain it, I'm not an expert on genetically modified foods,
Right.
but the end result that's damaging is it messes up your DNA. You mess up your DNA, you've got mutated cells, you've got that whole disturbance in the body where the body cannot function correctly. And why would we want to put something in our body that's genetically engineered, changing the chromosomes, changing the DNA? To me, that's all I need to know. That I don't want that. Organic is not genetically engineered.
Right, now it's a
Canola-
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, a lot of people think canola oil is healthy oil. Canola oil is rapeseed that was genetically engineered. So, again, we want to go back to the food as it came from the earth, as the way it was created, naturally.
Now, the whole point of the GMOs, with the built-in pesticides that we're actually eating when we eat the food, not being able to wash it off because it's already internalized into
That's right.
the plant or food matter that we're eating.
Mm-hmm.
It was as I understand it, we're going to put these pesticides in, the bugs aren't going to eat it, the farmers are going to get bigger crops, the farmers are going to make more money, and we'll have more food on the table for everybody.
Well, the farmers don't really make more money. It's the chemical companies that make the money. The farmers are very distraught, and this is a disaster for them.
Well, not just that, but there's no seeds on these plants.
That's done on purpose because that way only the farmers can only buy the genetically modified seeds. But I will mention, I just remembered that I have a great increase in IBS with irritable bowel syndromes and colitis and Crohn's and celiac. And the GMO, the genetically modified food, tears up, as you said, tears up the colon and the small intestines.
Right, and then, what, 2-3 generations of this crop, and then the pests have mutated, and it's no good anymore.
That's right.
It's like, duh.
And you just have to get at peace about it and realize that where you spend your money is where it's going to continue to expand. So if you're buying genetically modified foods, if you're buying foods that have been poisoned with pesticides, antibiotics, and hormones, those are the people that are going to benefit. if you start supporting the farmers markets, your neighbor that has a garden, you don't go out and buy food at the restaurant, you put that extra savings into having wonderful, healthy food at home, then you're supporting that farmer that is growing clean food.
So the easiest thing, it's a generalization, but I would think the easiest thing is when we're in the store looking to buy something, look for non-GMO printed on the outside of the box. And if it's not there, it is GMO.
If it says organic, it's not allowed to be GMO as well.
Okay, so either organic or non-GMO.
And if you go and buy from a farmer, ask them. And hopefully they are telling you the truth, and you decide whether you believe whether they're truthful or not.
Right, you may want to take a little bottle of pest, put it on a plant, and if they eat it, then you know it's good.
And you know, when we talk about all this, I don't want people to have fear. I don't want them to go into thinking that they have horrible diseases. You meditate about it, you pray, and you bless what you have, and if what you've got, you go to a restaurant or you go to someone's home and you're eating and you feel like it's not the healthiest food, bless it. And then when you get out of that situation, you make sure that you put wonderful, clean food in your body and or herbs that are going to negate those toxins. Like, for instance, cilantro. It takes mercury out of your body. It even will take some lead out of your body. So there's wonderful things to learn that will help you to feel not have fear about this. And it's a gradual evolution to change your diet. And I also would like to mention that these foods taste incredible. You will never feel like you've been cheated when you start to eat and learn on the internet the wonderful recipes that exist. You can make a pudding for your children out of avocado and cacao powder, which is true chocolate, and it's delicious. You can add stevia to it or raw honey, and you can have delicious foods that are totally healthy for your family.
Now, is some of this information on your website, lisasherbsandoils.com?
The food information is not.
Okay. But you have links maybe where they can go?
Not yet.
All right, we're going to put them on their own. All right, folks, you're going to be responsible for your own health and well-being. All right? We can't spoon feed you on this one. But if you do have a question, call Lisa at 954-415-1871. That's 954-415-1871. We got about 4 or so minutes left, and can we just touch on point massage bodywork? What is that?
I do a treatment that was created by Dr. Gary Young called raindrop therapy, and I've done it for 18 years, so I've sort of created my own way to do it. And it's actually pressure points on the body with massage, with a lot of essential oils and hot towels. I do the foot points, hand points, scalp massage, ear points for emotional release, hot towels on the neck, spine, feet, and hands. It's like receiving a massage, only the oils and the point work take care of all the movement rather than a strong massage stroking.
That deep tissue stuff that we all scream and holler?
Pardon?
When we get that deep tissue massage and we all scream and holler because...
Oh, yeah.
So this is much more gentle and a lot more effective.
I think it's a wonderful treatment. If a person's not used to essential oils, I go light with the oils because they do push toxins out of the body. And even like a strong massage or an essential oil body treatment, sometimes you can get a headache or a little nauseousness because of the toxins being pushed out. That's why they always tell you to drink a lot of water. But we discuss that thoroughly before we do the treatment.
And your fees and things of that nature are also on the website, or they just call you to get that information?
It's on the website.
Okay, which is Lisa's Herbs and Oils, LISASHERBS and Oils, OIANDOILS.com. And again, the number is 954-415-1871. We got about 2 minutes left, Lisa. Is there anything that you would like to leave the audience with?
Yeah, I would like to say that I believe that there are solutions that come in a natural, healthy form for everything. I think that everyone can become better. I don't think any of us will ever be perfect, but the sense of relief and the sense of security that you would have by knowing that you're taking care of your body, because if you don't take care of your body, where are you going to live? We have to have a healthy body to be on this earth plane and not be a prisoner of our bodies. What we put in our mind and what we put in our body is what we're going to be. And literally, the food, the liquid that you put into your body is what's going to create the new cells. So if you've got cells right now that are bad, they're kicking up as cancer or they're kicking up as asthma, those cells will be replaced by the new material that you put in your body. It's all about having a happy attitude, looking at reality, and looking at how you can change it to support your higher self.
Okay, I would like to put a plug in for myself here, and that is my book called Numerology for Healing. Takes 185 illnesses and diseases and turns it into a string of numbers. It's called gematria. It's an ancient Kabbalistic art, but there's also a solution. So the emotional and psychological behavior patterns that have brought the illness or disease, whether it's anorexia or W with warts, anything in between, there is an emotional and psychological component to it of either doing to be loved or trying to maintain control. And the way to change this is to start living your life and doing what you love, not to be loved or to maintain control. It's kind of hard to do. So we've got from Lisa today, we have several bottles of essential oils that we ought to keep in the medicine chest. Are there 2 or 3 herbs maybe that they should keep around?
I would probably say blue-green algae is awesome because it cleanses and also gives nutrition. Alfalfa is a little less expensive, does the same thing. It has a tap rate of 60 feet to bring the minerals into the body. I would say maybe my third one that I would go for is anything that will keep the digestive system healthy. So that could be enzymes, or it could be a mucilaginous herb if you have irritated bowel, or it could be herbs that keep your bowels moving, because we should move twice a day so we're not also intoxicated.
Okay, Lisa, thank you so much. Very insightful. Lots of everyday information we can use. One more time, call her at 954-415-1871 or visit her at lisasherbsandoils.com. Lisa, thank you very much for being on the show today.
My pleasure.
Take care.